Hi, my name's Elise Curran. I'm a member of the Orlando Big Band. I play saxophones and clarinets and sometimes flute and piccolo in the Orlando Big Band. And I've been a music teacher and a musician for over 45 years. So I'm going to show you today the clarinet family. The clarinet family is an extremely large family of instruments. There are 22 different sizes of clarinets. I know, right? I own 6 different sizes, and I brought you 3 different sizes today to see. But this is the one that you will be starting on when you start beginning band, and this is the B-flat soprano clarinet. And it's got a lot of keys on it, and like other woodwind instruments, it has a reed, and so you blow into the mouthpiece, the reed vibrates, and that's what makes the sound. That's true for all the woodwind family except for the flute. The flute you blow across the mouthpiece instead of blowing into a reed. But otherwise, the woodwinds, you'll notice about all the woodwind instruments that they have these, basically they're smaller than the brass, and they have a lot of keys on them, and they make their sound differently. Brass instruments buzz to make sound. They do that into their mouthpiece, but woodwinds don't buzz. We blow into or across our instrument. So the clarinet is the central woodwind in the band. You have more clarinets than any other instrument, and you need more clarinets because the clarinets play all the time. They have all the central parts. They play high notes, they can play low notes, they can play everything in between, and so it's a very useful instrument. And so if you're a person who gets bored pretty easily, the clarinet is a really great choice because you will be playing all the time. In terms of cost, the clarinet is not a very expensive instrument. It's also pretty light. So it's good from that perspective. Just be aware you will have to buy reeds from time to time because your reeds don't last forever. And so that would be like maybe a negative thing about the clarinet. So let's hear what it sounds like. You can play really high with the clarinet. Now, the high register of the clarinet is not used as much as the rest because it does have a kind of a squeaky quality. But the low register is really nice. It actually has extra low notes compared to other woodwinds of the same size. The oboe and the flute are about the same size as a clarinet, but the clarinet has almost another whole set of notes below theirs. So that's one of the reasons why composers like it. So here's a little bit of a piece to show you the range of the clarinet, how low and how high it can go. You can hear the clarinet can play low, it can play high. Also, the clarinet is famous amongst the woodwind family for being able to play soft and loud also. It can play loud like that, or it can play where you can barely hear it, and some composers have really taken advantage of that. So the clarinet is very versatile. But you know, you can also play jazz on the clarinet. So the clarinet is really a versatile instrument. You can play a lot of things with it. It's a very important instrument in the band. You know your band director will always love you if you choose the clarinet. The next member of the clarinet family that I'm going to show you today is the E-flat soprano clarinet. And I want you to notice that it is smaller than the B-flat soprano clarinet. It's substantially smaller. So a lot of people call this the piccolo clarinet. We clarinet players that play it a lot call it the E-fer. That's the nickname for it. It has exactly the same keys on it as the B-flat soprano, but it's smaller, so it makes higher notes. And so it's used for what we call in music color, because it adds a different sparkly kind of bright color to the sound of the clarinet ensemble within the band. And some composers have written famous solos for it. I will play for you the most famous solo written for this. It's from the piece Bolero by Ravel. Now that was up in the upper register. The E-flat clarinet can also play down low, like I was showing you earlier with the B-flat soprano. I'll just play a little bit of the lower part. And that's the lowest note that the E-flat clarinet can play. What it's mostly famous for, it's used in band for some little solos, but it's usually on top of the clarinet section and adds that little extra bright color. Sometimes when the music goes too high for the B-flat clarinet, the composer will write an E-flat clarinet part. Typically, you won't see this in band until high school or maybe college, because it requires really good experience and technique to play this instrument well. I'm going to play you a little bit of an orchestral piece. This is a little solo just to show you the kind of technical thing that you might play. It's used in orchestras. I actually play this instrument in the Space Coast Symphony Orchestra. So let's see. I've never played this one. We'll see how it goes. Here's the high part. So it's famous for those very high squeaky notes. When you have a big orchestra and you've got one E-flat clarinet player playing squeaky notes in the back, it doesn't really hurt too many people's ears. But it is actually a really fun instrument to play. And again, because it's small, a lot of people think it might be a good instrument for beginners, but it's difficult to control the sound on this instrument. So it's not good to start on. After you've been playing clarinet for a little while, you can, maybe when you get in 8th grade or 9th grade, you can ask to switch over or try the E-flat clarinet in your band and see if it's something that you want to play. Pretty much, like I said there were 22 different sizes of clarinets. In band, we typically will see 5 or 6 different sizes, but this is by far the highest one. Next, we have a low member of the clarinet family, and you can tell that this is a low member of the clarinet family because look how big it is. This is the B-flat bass clarinet. Now, you notice it's in the same key as the soprano clarinet that we started with. They're both in the key of B-flat, but this one is so big, it plays twice as low as this one. It has, again, all the same keys as the other 2 clarinets, except when you get into the clarinet family, you start to get these extra keys on the bottom, and down here on the bell, you notice how I have a metal bell here, there's an extra hole that makes that extra low note. So this instrument can play low. Let's see if those low notes will come out. I'm having a little trouble with it today, but we'll try. That's the lowest note on the bass clarinet, but it can go really high too, just not as high as those 2 over there. So the bass clarinet, as you could probably guess, mostly plays the bottom of the clarinet section. It helps fill out the low notes along with the low brass instruments and some of the lower saxophones. It has a beautiful dark tone color to it, and because it's a woodwind instrument, it also uses a reed. It has a lot of keys that you have to deal with, but it is by no means the lowest member of the clarinet family. Below this one, there's 4 others that are lower than this. Some of them get like up to here, but you'll most commonly see the bass clarinet when you're a band. Because this is a bigger clarinet, it's not usually something you're going to play in beginning band. You really need to start with something more manageable like the B-flat soprano clarinet as a beginning band clarinet player, and then when you're pretty comfortable with this one, then you can play this bigger one, maybe in 7th or 8th grade. It has a peg that's adjustable, so you can make it, depending on how tall you are, you can make it higher or lower. Some people play bass clarinets with a strap, although you don't really have to. And it's becoming a more popular instrument amongst composers because of its very cool, dark sound to it. So that's just 3 members of the clarinet family. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you choose clarinet as your instrument in band.